Alright everybody, hello and welcome as always. I am Sean, this is In The Mixer, episode 120. We are flying through the milestone episodes at the moment of our Isle of Man series. Happy Friday wherever in the world you're watching. If you're not watching the days this is released, then, just happy whatever day of the week it happens to be. It doesn't really matter to me too much. We're at the end of our second season in the Premier Division. We have again defied expectations. We're expected to be finished right at the bottom of the league. We are in the top half and we're looking to secure a top half finish today. Unfortunately, we've dropped off a little bit in the second half of the season. Europa League football, which was maybe an outside chance, is now dead and buried. But we do want to try and finish the season on a high with 2 victories and some good performances as well. Let's jump straight into the game and see how we've gotten on. So, of course, if you haven't watched the other episodes for this week, this is all going to be massive spoilers for you. But we have, so far, this week, closed out the last 10 games of the season, and the results haven't been great, not going to lie. We've only picked up 1 win so far in the week. I really want to try and get 6 points in this episode because we haven't done it, I think, in any of the recorded episodes so far this season, and I think we only did it in 1 episode last season as well. Obviously, the Premier League is a massive challenge. It's a massive jump up, but in reality, in terms of the content and success of the side and building for the future and all that sort of stuff, some good results and some good performances would be absolutely fantastic for us. And of course, as we always do at the end of a season, we'll go through, have a look at the end of season awards, all that sort of stuff once we get to the end of these games. We play Aston Villa, who are in 15th, and then our final game of the season, we play Norwich, who are in 11th, 1 spot behind us in the division. They are 2 points behind in the league. We're on -1 goal difference. They're on -9. If it goes to points, I think we should be fine. But in reality, what I'd like to do is win our last 2 games of the season and finish on a high note, or at very least get enough points that we aren't at risk of being leapfrogged by them late on. Last year we did finish 11th in the league. This year 10th. Next year's not going to be 9th. Next year we're going to really push and try and make Europa League football at a minimum. As far as the squad's concerned, we have picked up a couple of knocks off screen. So Barbosa's going to be out. He'll miss this first game against Villa, but hopefully finish the season. And then both Jose Cedron, who came off in our last game against Blackburn, he's out for 3 weeks, likely out for the rest of the year. And Guillaume Benchop, unfortunately, as well, also out for 2 weeks, our backup right back. It does mean we're a little bit threadbare at the back there. I am also going to make a couple of changes, really just to give, if we filter by our young players, an opportunity just to see how they go in the last 2 games of the season, but have a very strong bench available to try and bring on if things go pear-shaped, if we can't actually get decent results. But what we'll do is we'll jump forward to the game against Aston Villa and look at the 2 lineups now. So, as you guys can see here, we have made a couple of different changes. Miller will come in at left back. He's been out on loan. He was at Crawley where he made 20 appearances in, I think, the Vanarama National is where Crawley's playing at the moment. So a massive jump up for him. But he did make a couple of appearances for us last season in really non-competitive fixtures. He was 16 when we picked him up from Arsenal. He's a full Barbados international and has scored a couple of goals for them at the same time as well. And he seems to be progressing nicely. Still only 18 years of age. We're working him on being a wing-back on defend, which is how he's going to play today. And he might be one for the future. He might not work out. Either way, it was a low-risk deal for us. We brought him in on a free from Arsenal, and it's worked out fine for us so far. In goal, we've brought in Paul Brady. Now, just for full disclosure, each game he's played so far, we've lost. He filled in once for the injured Tim Kubis. He played in the FA Cup, which we lost in the first round. He played in the Carabao Cup, which we lost in the first round. But his progression's been good. He's up to 2.5-star current ability, only half a star behind Kubis, who's played Premier Division football now for 2 years, effectively. So I'm going to give him a game today and see how he gets on. You can see, not a bad goalkeeper. Really, he was more a focus of us bringing in young English talent, so we did pay quite a fair bit for him, £25 million. We'll give him a game today, and we'll see maybe how his progression goes, how his experience goes from that, if we want to try and push him to be maybe a first-choice goalkeeper for next season. We've got Mariano Oru as well. And to be honest, Javier Aguirre's been one of our better players this season, playing at the number 10 role. But we brought the young Argentine here in from Rosario Central in January. He's made a couple of appearances off the bench. I want to give him a starting opportunity to see what he can do on his full debut. Already 2.5-star current ability and 5-star potential at 18 years of age. He's potentially one that we might look to try and build a little bit further as the series progresses as well. Otherwise, though, it is a relatively strong lineup still. Barbosa's knock means that Cambridge is pretty much the only one in the midfield playing who's not quite in our starting 11. And Anonye, of course, as we discussed, filling in on the right-hand side. Looking at Villa, they're playing a flat 4-4-2. I'm starting to think that maybe, given the amount of 4-4-2s we come up against, it might be one of like the tactical suggestions for when people scout us and see that we play a 4-2-3-1, because quite a few different teams come up a 4-4-2 whenever we come up against them. Keeping in mind as well, at the same time, we also have a relatively low reputation, which it means no matter where we're sitting in the division, teams will tend to rest some of their better players for us. But there are a few of Villa's best playing today. Apostol is their highest average rated player for the season. The 21-year-old Romanian, full international, 4.5-star current ability, 5-star potential. He actually started his career at Villa, so he's come through their youth academy, 18 finishing, jumps out immediately. Some of these physical attributes, just phenomenal. 17 acceleration, 18 agility, 19 balance, 17 jumping reach, 19 pace, 16 stamina. Just an absolute beast when it comes to the physical aspects of the game. He'll be one to keep an eye on. He'll play alongside Campagna, one of the last holdouts of the real players in the division. 32-year-old now. He was at Barcelona in Ecuador. He's actually been at Villa now for 12 consecutive seasons. Looks to be a bit of a legend of Villa, 170 goals in 416 appearances. They have played in both the Premier Division and the Championship in the last 14 years. Ryan Sessegnon, they've picked up from Newcastle. He did score against us earlier in the season. Before making the jump to Villa in January, he will play on the left-hand side for them. He's been a consistent thorn in my side. We'll see if that continues today. And then the last holdout, Ellery Balcom, 33 years of age. Starts at Viborg. At the start of the database, he's been at Bolton, Brentford, Southampton, and now Villa for a couple of seasons as well. Looks a solid keeper. Nothing spectacular, though. I would expect we have enough to get beyond the team. Passionately, we're going to say, or assertively, we're going to say, Villa have lost 3 of their last 5 games, and I expect us to pile on the misery. And I'm also going to tell the defence that I have faith in them. If we keep a clean sheet, we're always in a good position to try and score, I feel, particularly at home. And we are playing our attacking style as well, which I think kind of serves us trying to find the back of the net. Villa have an early throw in here. On the right-hand side, Campagna's turned everybody and gone to strike near post and scored. Why do I open my mouth sometimes? I feel like so many goals we've conceded in the opening 10 minutes of games. We might sit down during the off-season and do like a proper analysis of goals conceded. I'm not sure what it is that drives when goals are scored against you, but that is pretty horrific. And I'm going to be honest, Paul Brady probably should have done better, given that he shaped left foot, went near post, and gives them a 1-goal advantage from the 1 shot and 1 highlight we've seen so far. 20 minutes in, not a whole lot of highlights for either side. We do have a deep free kick here. Leicester to take towards back post. Escobar's there, and he's nodded at home for his 4th goal of the season. I would bet, if I were a betting man, that all 4 of those goals have been from set-piece scenarios and far post headers. It's a good ball in from Leicester. Just wraps it around so the keeper can't come to it. Escobar rises amongst traffic and powers that one home. Hits the base of the crossbar as it goes in as well. Always makes for a little bit of extra flair on the highlight. We're through 30 minutes. We're going to use our Get Creative shout as well. Everyone seems inspired, which is great, but we do need to try and find a go-ahead goal. No further highlights. 3 minutes of additional time to be added on here at the end of the first half. The referee's now called half-time. 4 shots, 4 on target, 51% possession for us. Aston Villa, 6 shots, 3 on target, 49% of the ball. Both sides only 1 highlight. I'm going to calmly say I'm not happy with the performance out there, and everyone seems fired up, which is good. This is a lower division side. We need to be beating teams in the bottom half. And in reality, over the last 10 games or so, we haven't really been as efficient as we need to be in front of goal at a Premier Division level. Through the hour mark now, so we're going to hit pause and we're going to jump in and have a look at these subs. Peacock's got a knock, so we're going to bring on Jimmy Winter. And Elliot Bloor having a poor game, so we're going to bring on Nestor Rossi as well. I'm going to trust Anonye and Akeem Miller, the 2 fullbacks, the youngsters, on their yellow cards. And if they do stay on yellow cards, we'll probably bring them off in the last 10 minutes or so. But both wingers are going to change, and we're going to use our Get Creative shout as well, just to try and push everyone to create a few more opportunities. Highlight here, ball starts with Balcom. He's gone long in midfield. Rossi has won it back. Phillips needs to find a reverse pass to somebody. He goes out left to Miller now. Try to wrap his peg around this one. Cuts it back to Leicester at the top of the box, and back out to Miller again, who's now goal side on the defender. Can he get the ball back in? Goes near post to Phillips, who flicks on the header for his 15th goal of the season. Wonderful ball from the 18-year-old Miller. And we'll check it out here in 3 dimensions. It's a good ball from Leicester. Just sends it back into that corner. You can see the defensive lap from Villa letting him get to the byline. Manages to keep it in, nearly fucks up the touch, and then goes near post. It's a good header from Phillips. Phillips on the ground cannot finish his dinner. He's only got 11 finishing, I think, but 18 heading, which is just ridiculous. We might need to have a look at tactically if we're going to use him as our forward next season, which I'm not 100% decided on. If we look to move to like whipped crosses or floated crosses or backstick crosses or something to that effect. We're into the last 10 minutes now. We're going to make that last sub. Given that Miller got a great assist, we'll leave him out there. We might look to change Anonye, which would see Escobar move out to play as a wing back on support, maybe go wing back on defend for the last few minutes, and Anonye can come off, Sigurdsson can come on and finish out the game for us. Passionately, faith in you, get out there, make a difference, and we're also going to use, with 10 minutes remaining, a demand more shout. Throw in here from Escobar, finds Oru. Winter goes past one challenge. Jove has brought him down, and he's already in yellow card. I think he's going to pick up a second one here, which means that Villa will finish as 10 men. They've also made their final sub, which helps us quite a bit. 5 minutes of additional time to be added on here. No further highlights for either side since the sending off. Is 2-1 a good result? Really, I should just be happy to get points. And the referee calls full time. A 2-1 victory on the day. 13 shots, 9 on target, 55% possession for Aston Villa. 10 shots, 4 on target, and 45% of the ball. Gary Lester with that wonderful ball out for Akeem Miller for the winner was fantastic. And he got an assist as well for Escobar's ball. 8.8 match rating for him should be enough to take the man of the match award home. Assertively, I'm going to say a good win, boys. Well done. Now, that does keep us in 10th spot on the division. We do go level on points with Brighton going into the last game of the season, but they do have a better goal difference, +3 compared to 0 for us. We have broke even so far this year. Going into the last game against Norwich, it's good to know that they can't actually get above us. We are now 5 points clear of them, so it looks like a top 10 finish is secured, and potentially we can get as high as 9th if results go away on the last day of the season. Really, I just want to get a win and, potentially a positive goal difference. That's... If you set little victories for yourself, little targets throughout the course of a season, that's definitely one we want to go after. We've secured our best ever finish, confirming that we will finish 10th, 1 position further ahead of our first year in the division. Peacock's got a knock, but he should be fine for the next match. I would assume that Barbosa is also going to be fine for the next one. And Leicester gets the man of the match award, so we're going to tell him he was fantastic in the chances that he created. Otherwise, no massive danger, and we've got a full week before the last day of the season. We're going to jump ahead now. We might come back a little bit earlier, look at the table, see if there's anything that can change on the final day. Right, just like that, we are a week ahead. So, looking at the table before we go into the last games of the season, United, of course, already won the league. Man City already secured a second spot. But Arsenal, Tottenham, and potentially Chelsea, the teams that could get those remaining Champions League spots, I should say. As far as the Europa League is concerned, Liverpool and Leeds will probably duke it out for that last spot. It would take Leeds winning and Liverpool losing on the final day of the season for them to actually leapfrog them. But Liverpool also have a far superior goal difference. Southampton, the side that has kind of defied expectations this year. Last year, it was Newcastle and Brighton actually sneaking into European football. Down at the other end of the table, it looks like Burnley, Newcastle and Watford are potentially the closest ones to get relegated. Huddersfield and Blackburn already going down has been confirmed. But you'd see Burnley, Newcastle, Watford 27 points, Aston Villa on 28 points as well. Really, final day of the season, it could move quite a bit. And Villa, having a negative 41 goal difference, despite that 1 point advantage, is going to make some of these bottom of the table fixtures on the final day absolutely massive for those clubs. For us, for our lineup, Escobar picked up a knock. Ben Shop and Cedron, I'm not going to risk him. They're currently still technically injured, so we're not going to force them through. Nonye can continue at right back in an auxiliary role. I will bring Lua Barbosa back in to finish off the season. He has had an excellent year, and I think is definitely one of the key players for next season as we look to try and build and continue our growth. And I'm also going to bring in Javier Aguirre as well. He's been fantastic for us throughout the course of the year. 7.22 average rating is the highest average rating we've had for the season. And he's also, if we have a look, currently second in assists for the division this year, 13 thus far. If he gets any, he may potentially draw level with Richard McRae over at Arsenal. And if he gets a couple, we'll go above him on the final day of the year. Of course, assuming that he doesn't do very much. You can see here, Norwich are still favourites, despite playing from a lower spot in the division, and I guess that probably goes down to our inconsistent form, but we have got 2 victories in our last 3. They're a little bit more inconsistent, haven't picked up a couple of wins in a little while as well. Andre Villas-Boas, you can't see him, he's just behind my head. Trust me, he's there. He's their current manager and has been for a couple of seasons as well. We haven't had an episode so far this season with 6 points. This is a really good opportunity to do that. I'm going to push our wingbacks on forward to be attacking as well as attacking wingers. We're really going to go after it in the last game of the season. If we're going to play, let's play entertaining football. I've also brought in, you might have just seen his name there, Jason Kreisinger as cover for Escobar, who's picked up a knock. Potentially his last game for the club. I think he's been with us for 5 seasons. We picked him up from Deportivo Saprissa when he was a 17-year-old. We waited a while for him to actually arrive in a January transfer window. He made 96 appearances for us, largely at a championship level, scored 6 goals in that time. He's been a wonderful servant, but I just think in reality where we're at, we want to try and bring in squad players and wonder kids who are going to have higher potential ability. And while he's going to be a more than serviceable player, still only 22 years of age, don't forget, but as 3-star current ability, 3-star potential, I don't think he's a guy that you'd want to be taking into like a Champions League tie or something like that. A wonderful career for us though. I've enjoyed him quite a bit. And hopefully we can give him a fitting send-off in his final appearance today. Again, Norwich playing a flat 4-4-2. They've got a player here named Sean Ainsley, who we tried to buy a variety of times when he was at Tottenham. We eventually placed a bid that was worth about £16 million. But for whatever reason, he decided to go to Wolves. Wolves ended up getting relegated with him in the team, only making 1 appearance this season for them before leaving to go to Norwich for £55 million, where he's been okay this year, nothing spectacular. It's again one of those sliding doors moments, like what would have happened if we had picked him up? We've really struggled with that left wing spot. If we had got him, he might have been like a stalwart of that left wing for us for 10 years, who really knows. But it didn't work out, and hopefully we'll beat the living piss out of him and his side today. For Norwich, a couple of additional players from the original database. They've got Van der Heide out here on the left wing, Dutch winger from Heerenveen at the start of everyone's save. They've got Mustafa on the right from Galatasaray. 30 years of age now for the Turkish international, 4-star current ability and potential. He looks all right. And at the back there, Tomás Esteves, right back Portuguese defender, comes through Porto at the start of everyone's save, who turns into quite a tidy little player there from the look of things, and a good complete wing back if you're looking for one for your own save as well. Assertively, we're going to say, let's give the fans something to go home smiling about to end the season. Everyone's responded positively, which is great. We'll end that team talk and we will fire through to hopefully get 3 points. Aguirre from the set piece to add to his assist tally. It's pinballed around back stick. I think Phillips maybe gets the last touch on it. The linesman hasn't moved though, and I think it's going to be ruled out for offside. It is indeed. We want to try and keep an eye on that Aguirre assist counter. We might get something up on the screen if he gets a couple, but really, I'd love to get 3 points and 6 points in this episode. That would be phenomenal. Set piece again. Corner to be taken by Aguirre towards near post. Grassinger was in there, but it's back in by Peacock. Backstick runner to Bloor, and it's an excellent finish from Elliot Bloor. He wasn't really the best player we've had this season. I think he's really maxed out at being a squad player for us, but he has chipped in with a couple of decent goals towards the end of the year here, and I guess that versatility that he can play up front and on the wing is helping a bit as well. Great ball from Peacock into a dangerous area, and he gets it on his favoured left foot, just looks to pass it back across the keeper into the far corner. And we get a 1-goal advantage, 30 minutes played. As we get into the last 15 minutes of the half, we are going to use our Get Creative shout as well. I would love to try and ramp up our goal difference a little bit here today. As things currently stand, it looks as though Brighton are losing 1-0 to Everton. So we would go above them on points. But if we can also go above them on goal difference, that would be just an extra little bonus, a little bit of cherry on top of the Sunday. Assertively, we've got to guard against complacency now. I don't think the job is done. We haven't seen any highlights from Norwich, but my assumption is they'll come out fired up in the second half, looking to get further up the table. Throw in here, left-hand side. Miller works the ball with Barbosa before it's headed away. And Norwich have left men forward here. They're a 3v2 if they pick the right ball here from the counter-attack. Van der Heide skips past one challenge and gets the strike away, thankfully. Not on target, just beyond the far post. Throw in, right-hand side now for Norwich. Into Mustafa in midfield, now back to Tomás Esteves. Someone's got to go to him as he gets into the box and no one challenges. Thankfully the drive, not great. It wasn't far away though. Throw in, right-hand side, Anonye to take. Played into Aguirre and back to Anonye again. Backstick balls pinballed around. It falls to Barbosa at the edge of the area. Beats one challenge and gets the ball back to him again and finds the strike. Only his second goal of the season. That's crazy. His progression as a player in terms of like star ratings, recommendations from coaches, all that sort of stuff has been consistent, but we haven't quite seen the same volume of goals and outstanding performances from him this year as we did last year in his first year with the club. Maybe a little bit fortunate. The original strike there managed to land back at his feet, but the second time finish was excellent. And we have a 2-goal advantage after an hour. We'll let this highlight play out, and then we'll have a look at our subs. And Ponsa played forward, Miller with a good header, but it's poor back into the midfield actually. Hanan on the right-hand side, Aguirre with the tackle, but it falls to Mustafa. Cut back to Tomás Esteves on the edge of the area. Back to Ponsa, who's anchoring midfield. Ball across to Mena. Now Van der Heide on the left-hand side, the fullback looking to combine with the winger. Deep ball towards Troy Parrott, I think that is, and the header just over the bar. Is that Troy Parrott? We'll check it out. We'll let this highlight play out and then we'll have a look at him. Throw in, right-hand side. Parrott exchanges passes with Esteves, who's been busy on that right-hand side. Ball forward to Ainsley, who's dragged one back for Norwich. His 11th goal of the season. We're going to check this out in 3 dimensions and then I'm going to hit pause and we'll make our subs. It's a good little work pass and a nice triangle workspace for Ponsa, who just hangs it towards that kind of nothing area, and it's Greisinger on potentially his last performance for the club, out-manoeuvred at that header. Wide for a kick for Aguirre. Where's the assist tracker? Oh, he's found Greisinger back stick, who really just had to nod that one on target. Doesn't get there though. Tactically, let's make this adjustment. Miller hasn't had the greatest game. We might bring on Carlos Andre just to see what he can do for the last few minutes, and Scott Phillips hasn't had a great game either. We might bring in Nestor Rossi because I think it might be a farewell for Nestor Rossi. It just hasn't worked out, his transfer. That will see Bloor move to the striking role and Rossi come on at left back. Tell them we've got faith in them, and then we're also going to use our Get Creative shout here. But what I want to check is if that's Troy Parrott. It is indeed complete forward. He eventually got to 4-star current ability and potential. 100 Irish caps, and it looks like he stayed at Tottenham pretty much all the way through. A couple of loan spells here and there with Leicester, Norwich and AC Milan, but Norwich have had him now for 3 seasons, 28 goals across 95 appearances. Maybe didn't hit wonder kid heights, but has definitely been a serviceable player. And he's gotten in behind here. He's miles clear. Brady's need to find the finish. And holy shit, from 2-0 up, Norwich have drawn level. His 10th goal of the season. Very frustrating. It's just a straight ball over the top. How's our defensive line not able to deal with stuff like that? We might look to make our last sub in the next few minutes here because I know Barbosa's probably only got about 75 minutes in him. But maybe we can drive a bit more incentive to try and push on and find a winner. Deep free kick, and Onye goes to Aguirre, just short. Now Leicester at the base of midfield. Back into Aguirre again, nice little half space, finds Peacock. We've lost out though, and Norwich come flying forward. They're leaving 2 men forward. Rossi's just missed the ball in the middle of the pitch, which would have put us through on goal. Estevez, right-hand side, he's been very busy here in the second half. And Ponsa, back to Hanant. Now out left towards Mena. Someone's got to transition across to him. And Onye, Van der Heide with the strike. Ainsley's closed down. Barbosa gets it away, but only as far as Van der Heide on the left-hand side. Hanant, now to Mena, back to Hanant again. This is feeling intense. It feels like Norwich have all the momentum at the moment. Headed clear, and then we managed to get that away for the highlights come to an end. I am going to make one more change. Even though Lua Barbosa's had a good game, well, actually, he's not that bad. He's doing okay. He was told before the game that he could only play 75 minutes, but he seems to be surviving thus far. Who else do we want to try and bring on? Maybe we'll make a change out wide. We might take off Neil Peacock, bring on Jimmy Winter, who I think is another player as well that potentially in maybe his last couple of appearances for the club, depending what the transfer market's like at the end of the year. Can use that get creative shout as well with 10 minutes remaining. Let's try and push on and find a winner here. If we're going to go down, let's go down swinging. Throw in here, left-hand side for Norwich. Sent Ainsley into the corner, who's been very busy in the second half. Ball towards Parrott, and he's found the flick-on header. We were 2-0 up, and we've just thrown it away for whatever reason. Maybe because I'm recording these episodes and Sports Interactive hates me. Maybe that's why. I don't understand why. I love them. Ainsley with a good ball in, and Parrott that flick-on header. The defending's been poor, but I guess we do have probably like 3 of our backup defenders out there playing at the moment in Grassinger, Anonye, and I guess he's come off, but previously, what was his name? I've forgotten it already. Akeem Miller. They've sent Hanan down into the channel here. This could be 5 minutes of additional time. Grassinger does very well to win it back. Header back into midfield, finds Aguirre. Now a reverse pass to Rossi as well. Can he do anything? Still doesn't have a goal for the club. We're going to use our get creative shout. 2 minutes of additional time to be added on. Flavio forward from the goal kick into Pereira in midfield. Switch across is cut out well by Carlos Andrade and sends Rossi on the left-hand side. What can he do from the wide area? Instead of cutting it back far post where Jimmy Winter was wide open, he went the strike and straight at the goalkeeper. Mustafa, deep ball, headed towards goal. Brady with a good save, tips the ball over. Corner to be taken by Mustafa. This might be the last play of the game based on the additional time added on. Takes his time, goes near post. Carlos Andrade with the header forward. Harper at the edge of the area for Norwich. Rossi with a good tackle. It's going to send it out for the goal kick, and I dare say we're through the majority of the time. What a disappointing performance. We had such a great opportunity to get 6 points this episode, but to throw it away against a Norwich side that really has nothing to play for is very frustrating. So in the end, Norwich 3-2 winners, 18 shots, 7 on target, 54% of the ball. Isle of Man, 16 shots, 9 on target, 46% possession. Barbosa, a highest average rated player with 7.4. Assertively, not happy with the performance out there. To throw away a lead like that is very disappointing. I think Troy Parrott will actually get the Man of the Match award with his double off the bench. So in the end, looking at the table, just above my head here, oh no, it's not, it's over that way. If you look at it, that way, there we go, nailed it. 10th in the league. It is an improvement on last year, but really, I think that last game summed up how our year's gone in the second half of the season in particular. Brighton came back, got an equalising goal in the 68th minute against Everton, so they finish above us by a singular point and 4 goals in goal difference. Last day of the season, Arsenal drop out of the Champions League spots. Chelsea leapfrog everybody into 3rd. Arsenal losing to United on the last day of the season. Southampton pummeling Manchester City 6-0. That is out of nowhere. And Tottenham could only manage a draw in their match as Huddersfield lost 2-1 to Chelsea. Burnley, the additional side relegated. I don't know where they were on the final day of the season. I'm assuming they were out of the division. Out of the relegation spots, but lost on the final day. 3-0 to Watford to relegate them down into the championship for next season. Newcastle just survive. Alta Miranda gets another year in the division. Watford as well, promoted last season, just survive, as does Aston Villa on 31 points. Warburton suffers defeat against his former club. Troy Parrott gets a Man of the Match award. We get £25.12 million for finishing in 10th place in the division, and $925k is going to be shared amongst the staff and squad based on our finish, which is fantastic. If we look at our finances, we're actually doing really well. We're in a really good position. Overall balance of £92 million. Hopefully, a portion of that will be given to me as a transfer budget for next season. You can see this massive drop off here at the start of the year is where I spent all of that money. Magic of editing though, we're going to jump forward a little bit. We'll have a look at our end of season awards, our goal of the season, all that sort of stuff. All right, jumping forward a little bit, we have a $900k per week wage budget, which is pretty much the same as what we've had this season, and £70.24 million to work with in the transfer market, which is absolutely fantastic. There are a couple of key positions I think we need to strengthen for next year. So just one change to the overall best 11. Javier Aguirre, for his fantastic season, gets added to the starting lineup. A few familiar faces there. Samuels and Ball up top feels like a lifetime ago. Lionel Altamiranda on the bench, now playing at Newcastle. Simeon Ure back from the first season. He was an absolute beast for us in those divisions. We were fortunate to have him. Of the current playing group, Kubis, Escobar and Aguirre are the main three. But who knows, as we continue to progress through the series, through the seasons, who else is going to join them in that best team. Fans player of the season, Javier Aguirre. It's hard to say he doesn't deserve it. 56% of the vote. He definitely was our best and most consistent player over the year. Signing of the season, Gary Lester, £40 million, and young player of the season, Aguirre at 21 years of age. Scott Phillips got the goal of the season. We're going to check this one out in 3 dimensions. It was a goal against Leicester. I'll be honest, I don't 100% remember what this goal was. It might have been the one where he came off the bench and picked up the ball in halfway. No, it doesn't look like it. It looks like it's going to be a header, likely. Aguirre into Phillips. Oh no, it's this one. And then he just absolutely rifled it into the back of the net from a fair distance out. Did that make it 2-2 or 2-1 at the time? It looks like it was the first goal in a double in a 2-2 draw where he got both goals. Season review, we are well and truly ahead of our expectations for the season. Moment to forget, a 4-0 defeat against Man City, which you guys saw earlier this week. And match of the season, our opening day win over Liverpool at Anfield. Our vision all looks pretty straightforward. It says make the most of set pieces. I don't know if that is a cultural thing. And play high-tempo pressing football. That one definitely is. They expect in 3 years for us to become an established Premier Division side, but just to continue fighting bravely against relegation for the next year. I think we can accept that. I don't know what the set piece part is, but we'll see how that goes. Club dynamics, Kubis, Escobar and Aguirre, the team leaders. They have been at the club the majority of the time, or the longest period of anyone at the team. And we're going to discuss our plans for next season. We're going to assertively say we've done well to avoid relegation. We'll just as well to make sure we aren't involved in a battle to do so next season. That's our target. Half the players haven't responded great passionately. Very confident we can do what I said. And maybe we just sell all these guys that don't agree with me. That seems to be a good way to work it. Assertively, that's exactly the sort of reaction I'm after. And a few players very, very happy. A couple others maybe not necessarily as thrilled. But what can you do? Looking at our injuries, Mike Hayward, who's out on loan, 6 injuries and 3 months out for the season. Elliot Bloor, of the first team players, 6 injuries and 5 weeks out. A lower back stress fracture being the longest period that he was unavailable. But quite a few different players here that have picked up a variety of knocks throughout the year. Scott Phillips being another one. Greg Carragher, Jamie Warburton, Neil Peacock. A few of the first team players really struggling to get through the season so far. And we get to pick a training camp destination. Why not go to Scotland? I don't want to travel that far. I'd rather save the money. And we're getting some youth facilities upgraded, which is fantastic to see. Now, the exciting part, which that's just reminded me of, fantastic timing, is that when we come back, not next week. Next week, we're going to take a break. We're going to do our usual one season wonder save. If you've got any suggestions, drop it in the comment section below. But I do have an idea, and I think it will be in Germany. But when we come back the week after, we will have a fantastic new stadium to look at back on the Isle of Man. Maybe that's the key that we needed. We've struggled in Wigan at the DW Stadium, away from our fans, away from the Isle of Man. Maybe once we get there and for the first time bring Premier Division football to that stadium, we will absolutely be able to pick up some decent results and push our way up the table a little bit further. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching and the continued support. This series I've enjoyed a tremendous amount. I hope you guys have as well. If you do have any feedback, positive or negative, as always, drop it in the comment section. I do respond to every comment that I get. But more than anything, thank you so much for watching and continuing the journey with me. I've been Sean, and I'll see you all again in the mixer.